Hello, everyone. Welcome to another virtual interview. My name is Brandon Jewell with the CT Foundation, and I'm here interviewing Jeanie Calverley of Providence Health. Jeanie, welcome, and thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So we want to learn a little bit about your current career, but also the career path that it took for you to get there. So I would like to just start it off by asking you to tell us what it is that you do at Providence.
Thank you. So I work in a department called Strategic Services. And I know when people think of hospitals, they think of nurses and doctors and the way medicine is practiced, but it changes over the years. So behind the scenes in the business department, people think of what service lines, like cardiovascular or obstetrics, women's and children, and where we want to go, what strategy we want to go in. So I'm in that department that does some investigation and research, and then we roll out programs. And one of the programs I work with is wellness at the work site. So doing prevention and disease management for all of our local employers and in the community, and meeting our community members where they are. Hospitals used to be assisting the prevention and wellness model and keeping people actually out of our hospitals. So that's pretty much what I do. My title is employer and broker relations.
So we were talking before, and you had a pretty unique pathway into this current career. And I'd love to hear about how that pathway took you through your education and your other jobs leading to where you got today.
Great. So I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do in my life. Growing up, I always thought I'd be a teacher. Really had a passion to be a teacher. Started out taking some classes at the junior college and just working on the prerequisites. I found I had sort of a love for fashion and interior design, but I really wanted to sort of just figure out, where my personality fit in as well. And I had a mentor tell me if I went and got a little experience in the dental industry, that he would hire me as a salesperson. And so I took a dental assisting class and found out I absolutely loved learning about dental assisting. And at that point in my life, I decided to embrace dental assisting and start a family and get married. But I kept taking a class every quarter, every semester. I'd take a junior college class. I really had a love for learning. And at one point in my life, when my children were a little older, I decided to finish my bachelor's. So I enrolled at Sonoma State, and I decided instead of doing the next step, which would have been dental hygiene or being a dentist, I looked at the prerequisites I loved the most and took a chance, and that was psychology. So I majored in psychology. Absolutely loved it. I couldn't get enough of it. They were asking me to leave, let another student in. And my mentors, my teachers and professors really encouraged me to get my master's. And I didn't think that would happen for me. I just wanted a bachelor's so I could get my foot in the door to other opportunities. But there wasn't a whole lot you could do with a master's in psychology except open doors. So I applied and I got into the Sonoma State Organization Development Program. So that is like industrial psychology. And again, I just followed the process and didn't know what I would do with it. And I absolutely loved that program. And then when I got out, it opened a lot of doors. So just having a bachelor's and a master's opened a lot of doors. And I was able to go into dental consulting, and I became a dental advocate. And one of my biggest jobs, hired professional jobs, was being the consultant for Oral Health Access Coalition. It's a mouthful. And then I actually got an offer to teach back at the junior college in the dental assisting program. So it was very full circle for me. I achieved being a teacher. I still was able to live out my passion, which is dental assisting in the dental field. So I did that, as well as was offered a job at St. Joseph Health, um, and now Providence. So I took that position, and that was 11 years ago. And I absolutely have loved it. So it has been an interesting path.
Yeah, I actually, that's what I wanted to really highlight, is that path that, first you thought fashion, and then you really found a love for just something like being a dental assistant. And then that path took you into psychology and then back to dental, it sounds like. And then now in your current position. And I love the idea that, we are often told that a career is kind of like this. It's an upward trajectory constantly. You pick your path early and you go for it. But we are kind of on an upward trajectory, but sometimes there's ups and there's downs and there's sideways and there's diagonals. And that's the real true career path for most people, right? Is not always knowing exactly what it's going to be, what your future is going to be when you're, say, in high school or something like that, or even in college. So I love that you come with that experience behind you. And that leads into another question that I had, which is, you talk about dental and psychology, and I'm curious if you could speak to how those two things help you in your current position, even though they're not within that exact same industry.
Well, through the dental experience, I learned all about the clinical aspect. So it really parallels the hospital, cross contamination and ordering and operations, all of that, those skills transfer. So I really got a look into the whole financial side, as well as the practice side of dental. And then psychology really fits into everything. If you think about it, your mental mind, from being fearful of dentistry and helping someone through that, all the way until sales. I mean, sales and marketing is all about psychology. And so, especially the industrial psychology, the organization development piece, really helped me in strategy. So, going in and being able to look at, where we're at in a project, or where we're at for a need in our community, and then looking at where we want to be, and then figuring out where the gaps are and what we need to fill the gaps. And that's all psychology too. It's just a different branch of psychology. I think people think of psychology as mental illness, but there's all the way, at being your ultimate best self. So sports psychology. So I take my psychology experience, especially my organization development, into every project I do, and I use it a lot.
Yeah, I can imagine. So with going back to your current position, you mind just going over what it is that you really love about what you do right now?
Yeah. So what I found that I didn't like about dental is being in one location and one space every day, 5 days a week, and being confined and doing the same thing over and over, which was very routine type work. I wanted to continually be challenged to do more. And the work that I get to do at Providence, it's never the same thing. I'm always doing several projects or different projects. Providence is very good about allowing us to continually learn. So I'm in classes. It's like ongoing college forever, always learning new things. So I really appreciate the variety. Not one day looks like another day, very rare. And the autonomy. I love to be able to create, to sort of be my own boss, and to really have these amazing leaders that I can glean from and learn from. And in hospital, it's very challenging business to be in. And we've got some of the best leaders ever leading this industry. So I like that as well.
Mhm. Yeah, what's interesting about going through this, any career path, is the more experience you get is not just about learning new things and learning what you love, but it's also about learning what you don't love about a career. And that is equally as valuable in pointing you in the right direction. So could you tell me, working in kind of, yes, in your position, but really in the healthcare industry as a whole, could you talk about some of the soft skills and maybe even some of the more, the more technical skills that one should know if they're going to jump into any sort of medical field?
Well, you really do have to have people skills to do this work. Unless you're looking at finance, there's so many different aspects of the healthcare system. But people skills for the most part. At Providence, we really value our mission. I know people talk about mission and values, but we really embrace those and thread those. So, you really have to be aligned personally. Your personal mission has to be aligned with that work in caring for other people. And then again, you could be IT for a hospital, and it's a whole different set of skills.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're, thinking frontline and being front facing with patients or customers or clients, soft skills are going to really come in handy. If you're thinking of the more technical aspect, data mining, research, IT, any of that, a whole different skill set.
Mm-hmm. I was just in a panel discussion earlier today with a couple of folks from Sonoma State University's health pathways, and they were actually talking about some of the key skills that you would utilize in the health industry are the same ones that you would gain at any kind of entry-level career, like being a server or working in retail or anything where it's especially customer facing, because those general communication-based soft skills are the kinds of skills that can take you to almost any career, especially in something like health, where you're dealing with people constantly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So Jeanie, I always like to have our last question be a piece of advice. So the students that are watching this are generally in their high school, trying to figure out what they are looking to do for their future, so that they can know what to do after they graduate, whether it's a 2-year degree, 4-year degree, master's, or whatever. Do you mind giving just one piece of advice, maybe something you learned along your way, one piece of advice for these students as they're exploring careers right now?
I think the best piece of advice I got, and I'm going to pass on, is follow your passion and your heart. Don't follow someone else's expectations or what you think you're supposed to be doing. Really find that class or that activity that you really, really like, and embrace that, because that's going to bring you to probably a fulfilled, career.
Good. Well, thank you so much, Jeanie. I want to thank you for taking this time to help us just understand more about what it takes to be within the health industry, as well as just your pathway and what it took for you to get there. It's very valuable. So thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.